high to reach the sky. Let your passion lead you. Take you places. Script your success story. And make you a champion in your mastery. Transform your dreams into reality with Ramapuram SRM Institute of Science and Technology.
Hashtag.
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 Hashtag. Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag. Hashtag. Hashtag. Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
show it. If you ratchet and you know it, clap your hands. If you ratchet and you know it, clap your hands. If you ratchet and you know it, clap your hands. If you ratchet and you know it, and you really wanna show it.
The fire.
டேய் சும்மாறா, நானே நொந்து போயிருக்கேன். நண்பா, உனக்கு ஞாபகம் இருக்கா?
வணக்கம். இன்றைய முக்கிய செய்திகள். கொரோனா பெரும் பரவல் காரணமாக பொது முடக்கம் அறிவிக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. இதனால் அனைத்து கல்லூரிகளும் அடைக்கப்பட்டு ஆன்லைனில் வகுப்புகள் நடைபெறும் என்பது இதன் மூலமாக அறிவிக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது.
அப்போ ஹேஷ்டேக்
reality with a perfect platform. Give wings to your ambition. Ignite it with power, with creativity, and let it fly. Let it fly high to reach the sky. Let your passion lead you. Take you places. Script your success story. And make you a champion in your mastery. Transform your dreams into reality with Ramapuram SRM Institute of Science and Technology.
Hashtag.
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 Hashtag. Hashtag. Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag. Hashtag. Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Hashtag.
Truly delighted to welcome you all to Hashtag 2021 Unlocked Loop of Respite. I am Sheba Sunny with Madhuvarshini Sendrivelan, students of SRM SEAD, and will be your moderators for today's session. Keep in mind about the webinar being a virtual approach. I request everyone to keep yourself on mute and kindly turn off your videos throughout this session. I request everyone to not interrupt the speaker during the session. The question and answer session will be held towards the end of the webinar. The participants can post their questions in the chat box. I would like to thank our title sponsors, Madan's Makeover, a tailor-made salon. SRM SEAD is honored to have architect Ar.Ranbir Mudhaliar sir as our chief guest for today's session. I would like to request our VP Admit Seat, Architect Lokesh Mathivanan sir, to welcome Architect Professor Ranbir Mudhaliar sir.
Yes, that was a good speech, Sunny. It was nice. And Architect Professor Ranbir Mudhaliar sir was a design chair of Mysore School of Architecture. My wholehearted welcome you, sir, and thank you for accepting our invite and giving presentation to our students. You're sharing your knowledge is the greatest treasure to our students, sir. Thank you so much. And also, students are the real heroes. They work really hard. Even tech team, even coordination team, and webinar team, workshop team, all are putting their tremendous effort to make this event to next level. Really happy to see those enthusiastic participation of students. And also Ranbir Mudhaliar sir is expert in mall designs, all the work he have done in abroad. Students, we are really blessed to have such a person to share his knowledge. Kindly observe all the experience of him. That is the greatest plus for SRMC. So on behalf of SRM management also, I'm thanking our chairman sir, co-chairman sir, and director, chief director sir, director sir, and Dean ENT and Dean KTR. Thank you so much for the tremendous support for past 4 years. And thank you all. Handing over the mic to Shiba Sani. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, sir. That was a very warm welcome, sir. Now, let me take the privilege of introducing our speaker now. Architect Ranbir sir is currently working as professor and design chair at the Mysore School of Architecture since 2016. He has run his firm for more than a decade in Delhi. He is an expertise in various low-cost projects using alternative technologies. He has developed and set up the building centers for experimental research on low-cost techniques and materials. Now, without any further ado, we'll start with the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Shiba.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming that I'm addressing it mostly to students of SRM. So I'll keep it not very complicated. I'll keep it very simple, and I plan to have a few visuals, mostly visuals, and this is not going to be the topic I've chosen is sociology and architecture. Sociology is something which is very close to my heart. I just like the idea of interaction and people more than buildings. It's the people that matter, not the buildings as much, is what I feel. So I chose this topic so that it could be we all learn about building construction, about design, and it's all hard facts, hard materials, buildings. Whereas the human aspect of it generally is quite kept in the background. More and more of our designs are focused on the built form. We talk about materials, new materials, more impressive materials, facades. We talk about good interiors, and it has to be photogenic. It has to be publishable in magazines. But there's nothing wrong in that. It's great. But we should not forget the human element. Say like we design, we get it built, or build it ourselves if we are taking turnkey jobs. And then we leave, we clear off. Do we really care what happens afterwards? Does it really work well? Has it worked well? Was it successful? What do? We just take those photographs, put it in magazines, put it in our CVs, put it in our brochures, and then we keep looking at the same ones as it was, as completed. We generally don't follow up. We don't have time. We are all busy with new projects, when you're working. So we can't think of going back and with everything. How is the building? Are you liking it? Well, half the time probably they'll all tell you, the roof is leaking. This is happening. That's the problem. The flush is not working. So who wants to go back and get into a trouble? So what happens is that we are responsible for what we create, and each line on a drawing that you make Please hear this sentence very carefully that I'm telling you. Every line that you draw on your drawing is very important because it could be a matter of life or death. You think I'm joking? No, I'm serious. I'm really serious. Are you shocked? See, let me tell you a few examples. I remember a few years back, quite a few years back. A friend of mine was telling me that they were in a party, a gathering, and he was looking out of the French windows, large glass in the balcony, and kids were playing there. As he was watching, a kid climbed the handrail and toppled over from the 8th floor and died. He froze. He just froze. He couldn't do anything. His mouth, he couldn't get up. He couldn't. His throat was. He couldn't say anything. He couldn't even yell a warning. Nothing. Now it didn't happen to me. I didn't see it. Somebody told me about it. But after that, it has affected me so much. I've never designed a handrail with horizontals. People, when they see my design of a handrail, they'll say, "What a boring it is! All verticals. It looks like a jail and all that." I said, "Look, I'd rather have a non-good-looking balcony design than 20 years later some child falls over because of my stupidity, my design." You understand? We design something and we go away. Do we know what happened? We use a wrong flooring, slippery flooring. Somebody falls and breaks a leg. Do we know what happened? What because of us, what happened? Take so many cases of fire. That's one thing I've seen. We architects are very, very lax about fire regulations. We think we'll get away with everything, and we're not aware of it. So many of us are not even aware of it. Imagine now you are trapped in a building which has got no fire escape, proper fire escapes, fire sprinklers or fire hose rails, proper, and you get trapped. Maybe you get suffocated by smoke. It's some other architect's mistake, somebody who made a mistake. Just because you're an architect doesn't mean that you are immune to injuries from fire. You design buildings, it doesn't mean that you will only go into buildings that you have designed. So if you design a good building which makes sure there are proper fire escapes and all that, then somebody else's life will be saved. So when I mean to say that every line you draw, every specification you write in your book has a life and death meaning, I mean it. And all of you, please understand, safety is a very important thing. Do never compromise. I just wanted to tell you as a beginning, that it's got nothing much to do with sociology, but this is close to my heart, about wanting to do the right thing for people, and people means sociology, and so I wanted to connect people and sociology and architecture this way. Now, let me share the screen. I will go over a few definitions. Initially, I was making it a very technical thing. I thought you guys would get bored. So I do have a few, what do you call it? Definitions. I'll just share these with you. Some of them are interesting. You'll just enjoy those. What some architects feel about architecture. Okay, now that's why I've written random thoughts. This is not a definitive work of sociology and architecture, serious treatise or a thesis. It's just thoughts put together. Now I found a lot of definitions of architecture from various places, and I put them all together. Then finally I discovered this reference that I've given, 121 definitions of architecture by Becky Quintal, and this contains most of my things I've taken from here. It's very, very interesting. Look at what Zaha Hadid. We always, all of us look up to Zaha Hadid as a hero. Architecture is unnecessarily difficult. It's very tough. Can you imagine a person of that stature saying that? So if you think that architecture is tough, don't worry. We all feel the same. Okay, you don't have to get worried. It's the art and science of making sure that the cities and buildings actually fit with the way we want to live our lives. See, most of them talk about live our lives. Society, the process of manifesting our society into a physical world. This is Bjarke Engels, one of my heroes, youngster. I'm sure quite a few must have seen his work. Very interesting work. You must all, those who have not, should go to this. Architecture is about improving conditions, environmental. You all talk about environment, social, and sometimes also political. Okay. Architecture is not just one thing. It is not just an art. It has to deal with the real situation, something good for the society. I've not selected these only to do with society. Huh? I just selected random which I liked, and so many of them have reference to society. This is Mr. Pritzker himself. Architecture is intended to transcend the simple need for shelter and security by becoming an expression of artistry. Architecture is not just about building; it's a means of improving people's quality of life. People's quality of life. The key words. Architecture, small piece of this human equation, but for those of us who practice it, we believe in its potential to make a difference, to enlighten and to enrich the human experience, to penetrate the barriers of misunderstanding and provide a beautiful context of life's drama. Wow. It's a social art, and as a social art, it is our social responsibility to make sure that we are delivering architecture that means not only functional and creature comforts, but also spiritual comfort. Is not always synonymous with building. I like that. That's my point. Don't think architecture is just building. It's far more than that. It's far more than that. It transcends much further. Renzo piano, very dangerous job. Wow. If a writer makes a bad book, people don't read it. But if you make a bad architecture, you impose ugliness on a place for 100 years. Now, for me, I really don't care much about ugliness because there's a lot of ugliness in nature, in real life, everywhere. There is beauty and ugliness. Everything goes hand in hand. But my concern is more about safety, more about quality of life of people. That is I'm concerned more than what Renzo Piano is concerned about ugliness, for 100 years. First and foremost, about serving people and society. This is an architect's responsibility to design buildings that fulfill their practical purpose, bring people together, connect us to the natural world while preserving precious resources. Combination of science and fiction. Normally we say science and art. So I remember, like when I first wanted to join architecture, I had no clue what architecture was. Everybody used to say IIT, engineering, medicine, that's it. I went to this, your Madras University has a beautiful place, university, I forgot what it's called, just next to Presidency College. It's a place where, there were these syllabus for all colleges of India. I spent 3 full days going through it. And one of them was a unknown subject called architecture. So I went through and I said, wow, beautiful. It has, I was totally confused. Should I want to go science or want to go art? And this one had both. So that's why I got into this line. Architecture is about giving form to the places where people live. It's not more complicated than that, but also not simpler than that. Yep. Okay, now let's go for a few definitions of sociology. Then we'll connect the two. Study of the development, structure, and functioning of human society. Study of social life, social change, and the social causes and consequences of social behavior. Human social relationships and institutions. Discipline that attempts to understand the forces outside us that shape our lives, interests, and personalities. Study of groups and group interactions, societies and social interactions from small and personal groups to very large groups. Okay, that's it. Now, now what I'll go through is a few images. They may be unconnected, but they're all just random thoughts of mine, which I want to just share with you. Okay, so I believe in the outside, the space around a building, which is extremely important. Now, when you see something like this, I don't know. I just my heart fills with happiness. When you see well organized, specified and finished, sidewalks and open spaces. We tend to take sidewalks, as for granted, never bother about it. Now look at the width of this sidewalk. Look at our sidewalks. First of all, non-existent, and if they are very high, you can't climb them, or they are broken up, they are uneven. And we talk about accessibility standards, disabled people moving around. How? Things like this, how people are the prime, objective. I remember doing, like I'm going to a place in Dubai. It was a huge complex, it had about maybe, I think about 5,000 villas, massive. It was done by I think, American architect who designed it, and landscaping was done by an Australian company. And I was so disappointed. or Jumeirah village, I think it was called, or something like that. Such plain buildings, plain, absolutely no features. They look like PWD buildings, extremely expensive, top of the range. People, all the expats were living there, expatriates. and like this friend of mine took me around all these places. Now, as disappointed I was with the architecture, I realized inside he has spent that money on exceedingly good quality finishes. The flooring, the electrical switches, the lights. They had wasted no money on fancy, features outside. Just plain walls, simple walls, no feature. And inside, yes. And then he took me around it was what, over 100 acres. They had 2 cricket fields, 3 football fields. They had about 20 tennis courts. The amount of landscaping was amazing. And the parking was arranged in such a way that you can go from any house to any house without crossing the road. It is such a challenge to do such things, So children are moved, the parents are free, they're happy that children are moving around, going to a neighbor's place. The neighbor could be 20 houses away, 40 houses away. But, it is all, the cars all came from all sides, like this and parked around. Like that, like you have a airport, like you have terminals and planes coming around. You cross a plane when you go somewhere to somewhere. No. So it's organized in that way. That, the family is relaxed. The family is happy. There's no tension, no crossing roads. Amazing, And so those are the kind of things that, I believe it's more important. Now, a place like this in Amsterdam, look at the happiness. Look at the sitting in the sun, probably on a cold day. Yeah, I think it is. Well, some people are wearing woolens. Now, this one I liked. You know why? Because this person wrote a small poem. Let me read the poem that he wrote about this. Here I am, concentrating on every scent. His name is David Siolander, written at the top. Here I am, concentrating on every scent, on every sound, on every sight. The birds, the trees, the buildings, all combining to create the tapestry. Traffic speeding past, pedestrians hurrying along the sidewalk, children laughing, mothers coaxing, babies crying. An elderly man cycles past, his tires humming along the bricks. A city bus stops along the curb, its brakes hissing, its engine idling. His doors sliding open, the sun is shining. The cafe is getting busier. College students, secretaries, old folks, all taking seats. It is the lunch hour. Across the street, the university buildings loom, red brick and ivy. Peak roof has 3 floors, sun glinting off decorative windows, birds perched atop it, students and faculty, flinging book bags over chair backs, placing briefcases under tables, talking while sipping soft drinks and coffee, some drinking tea, some, this is a spelling mistake, biting into sandwiches, some eating spaghetti. Over my book, I notice an attractive young woman, seated all by herself, appearing to be texting somebody, probably her boyfriend. To my right, a middle-aged couple sit in deep discussion. He, a professor of history, she, a professor of English. Such is life at my sidewalk cafe. Simple, there's nothing in this poem, but just the mood, the feeling, of being happy. We have to design our environment in such a way that at any given stage, one has to be relaxed and happy. That should be our aim. You should not be tense walking on a sidewalk. You should not be tense sitting on a bench somewhere. You should not feel that a car will go past and splash water, or you're too close to the road. Everywhere, whether you're having a tea or whether you're having a bite, you're shopping, everything you experience should be a happy experience. When you are happy, you make others happy. Your whole life gets happy, and then everybody around you is happy. Isn't that the aim of life? What is the aim of life? Getting money, becoming rich, becoming well-known, big office, architecture, projects to your name. But what does that lead to? You want happiness, right? You don't want to do more and more. You can do less and less. As long as your desires have to be reduced. You have bigger desires, it's difficult to reach that desire. The bigger the gap between what you have and what you are aiming for, the more the unhappiness. So either you get more to reduce the gap, or you reduce your desires. Simple. The gap has to be reduced. I prefer to reduce my desires and reduce the gap between what I have and what I want, so that I feel happier. I feel happy every moment of life. It's great. Every day is great. Lovely day. I'm so happy, talking to you guys. Even though I can't see you, can't see any of you, but it's great. It's great to be doing, what I'm doing. Look at this. Look at this. I don't think anybody is going to be, unhappy looking at a scene like this. This is somewhere in London, I think. Look at that. Compare the two now. This is a kind of like a dream. I remember once in Cyprus, we went to a restaurant very similar to this. And you know what they had? They had a grapevine over, and luscious grapes were hanging. They were the red variety, not the black, the red variety. Huge, clusters of grapes hanging. And therefore they said, please do not pluck. If you pluck it, I mean, it's therefore, more for like a show. It's beautiful. The full area was covered with grapes. What a lovely sight it was. I mean, we just sat down there to the restaurant just for, it was expensive. They charged more. So now imagine the atmosphere over here, the happiness that you get. What are your feelings here? I don't see a single blade of grass. I don't see a plant. I don't see a tree. Is this what we are aiming for? Is this our life? This is called a symbolic pause, silence, for it to sink in. I'm not trying to be discriminative, saying that India is like this and abroad is like that. It's just that our problem is population, sheer population. Again, all these things lead to sociology, okay, and sociology and architecture, okay. Sheer number of people, and then the amount of awareness that we have very low awareness regarding public spaces. How to have a high quality public space. Where is the footpath here? Can anybody see a footpath? Yes. See the extreme top left, the scooter standing there, red scooter. Yeah, that's a footpath. So there are shops, footpath is taken over by vendors, and then there's parking in between somewhere, and then the road is taken over completely. It's a wide road. It's a huge wide road. It was. Again, see, the sheer, look at the pavement. It's got that the earthy kind of a finish, which makes you feel non-slip, and it looks nice. Oh, there are much better photographs also, but now this one. You can use this scene both ways. It can be wonderful, it can be terrible. You will say, look at the crowd. Obviously, it's pre-pandemic, but look at the crowd. Look at the crowd. I mean, how horrible. But look at all their faces. They're all happy. They're all smiling. See, sometimes a crowd like this is not good. But a crowd like this can be good. You want to have, that you're in that mood, that celebratory mood, and you've come from office maybe, or it's a holiday, you're having a nice glass of chilled beer, your friends are with you, your family is with you, whoever it is. And this how high volume of noise is there, and you're enjoying it, and you're screaming over to be heard. I mean, you can also say that, look, it's so annoying, nobody can hear each other. But it depends. If you don't like it, go away. So you have a choice. You can go to a quiet park and sit down and sip your cup of tea or Starbucks coffee or whatever you want. Coffee day. Or you could filter coffee. Or you could sit in places like this where there's noise and there's activity, and it drives away all your blues. Okay, now this is something very interesting. These are called hawker centers, and they're very famous in Hong Kong and Singapore and Malaysia and all that. This is where, this is how the food court started. You have a ready-made cooked food at various stalls, and you have people you can pick up very, very low-cost food, and you can sit down and have it. Now, at one time it was unregulated and very, very hygienic conditions were very poor and not, it was like looked down upon. But now Singapore has been very, very strong in regulating it and trying to make sure that the quality of hygiene and cleanliness and all that is maintained. And it is a very popular thing now. I remember a friend of mine, he is in Singapore and he has been there for over 30 years. He used to tell me about these hawker centers. I tried to get these images, but I could not get them. He said that we used to go to hawker centers and these families come there and they meet over a few hours. Let's say 4 or 5 families get together and they have these big tables, center of which is a fire. They cook. So you have these, shops where you can buy, like your carrots and your peas and your meats and various things. And you bring it over there and, you take up 2-3 tables. One table is the ladies get together and they're doing the gossiping and chatting and talking about school and kids and other things. The guys get together and they're talking about sports and politics and having beer. And the kids are playing around. Everybody's happy. And you don't waste time cooking in your own home separately, and feeling depressed. You're here with your friends. The ladies are all talking together, cooking. What a lovely idea. And after that, you all get together, children are called, they wash their hands, they all have a meal. And after that, they go back to their home. At hardly any cost. I mean, at the cost of buying vegetables, which anyway you would buy. So you just pay a little bit for the rent of that place and you have a lovely evening together. I couldn't get images of that. I tried so much, I couldn't get it. Maybe, I don't know, I need to check up, is it getting out of fashion? I believe these hawker centers are also getting out of fashion. They're losing popularity because of malls and restaurants and whatnot. But I think it's a lovely thing. It has been declared as intangible heritage by the United Nations. So it's on the list. It is an institution by itself. So this is what I mean by interaction and people and. See, the architecture is just a backdrop for me. It's like you're focusing on the play, and the sets are secondary. It enhances the play. You understand? Architecture should enhance the play. The life. We are all. What does Shakespeare say? We're all actors on a stage, right? And we're all doing our part. So, life's a stage. And we architects think that architecture is the most important, building. No, the people are more important and you provide the space for it. You don't have to spend too much money on the building, spend on the space around, the quality of space, the materials, the finishes, that would be better. You must have seen this in so many movies, no? Amitabh Bachchan used to climb there and always successful. He was always the last person, the topmost person. I don't know how he carried that weight. But he used to always, it's the bigger people below and then the smaller and the kids that reach the top. In movies, Amitabh Bachchan used to do it. Okay, so Bombay Chawls. This is something that I've been fascinated with. And I think it is something for the future also. We have to learn from this and do something like this. We talk about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, we talk about so many schemes. HUDCO has come up with so many things and Ministry of Housing, building. We need so many million units and this and that. Come on. Where are we close to reaching it? I believe I need to check up. Maybe things are getting better now. We are closing into the number of, the shortage of housing units. But till we cannot afford it, give this as a choice for people. These are like hostels. They're like dormitories. See, there are so many negative things about it. They're all tiny pack. In a way, it's like a slum. But it is an institution by itself. There are so many plus things about this. There are so many minus things about it. There are, you get, you have a loss of privacy because there's a common corridor going around. Everybody passes by the other person's house. They look into the window and they can see what you're doing. They even hear any arguments and fights. Everybody collects out of the windows and is part of that, like spectators watching it, enjoying the fight. But then you have the Bonhaumi, the festivals that you have celebrate together, like you just saw that breaking of the matka. And emergencies, everybody's there to help you. Friends, you make friends so rapidly. Of course, you can make enemies also, gangs and things like that. Kids get together all the time, they're playing. Ladies get together, guys get together, old people get together. There's so much of life, so much of cooperation, and it is very cheap. So I think the way forward is that we have to make many more of these. See, you can make them to a level of just single rooms with common toilets. You could upgrade it to toilets within. You could have double rooms, you can have triple rooms, you can have 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. You can do, variety of options, and have so many of these built all around, the outskirts of the city where the lands are cheap and you can give it on rent. That will solve a housing problem to a very big extent. See, if you have the money and you want to build an independent house, go ahead, go. You can start from here. There are people who have got no space to live, no place to live. They don't have homes. They can be, take up these now, and then as you grow richer and you stand on your feet, you can move out of these places. These are like temporary places. There's this friend of mine, an architect. He was working for Charles Korea. Then I met him in Bahrain, in the Middle East. I couldn't make out that he was from a Chaul. He told me about how there were 9 brothers and sisters, and if you come home late, there won't be enough food for you. There was only enough amount of food made. Whoever comes early gets it. The other has to go to sleep without food. He used to tell about the long lines in front of toilets. There were just a few toilets for hundreds of people, and they have to stand in a queue. When the rains used to come, how they used to wade through, water which is above his waist. So, and he's working for Charles Korea. He's working for, we went to Mauritius, then we went to Bahrain. I couldn't make out that this was his background. But amazing, first-hand reports I've got about life here. But he still remembers fondly about this place. Look at this. What do you think about these? This is England. I know Corbusier always said, have concentrated buildings, high-rise, and leave a lot of open space. See, it depends. Some of you may like that way. Some of you may not like it. I am of the opinion that it should be low-rise and it should be spread out with enough greenery. This is so dependent on, electricity, on elevators. I remember, I did my architecture from School of Architecture and Planning, Madras. Ours was the last batch, Madras University, then became Anna University. I used to walk down to Loyola College where I did my PUC from Nungambakam, Lake area. And there were slums on the way. And one day I noticed that slums have been cleared and they are building, blocks. And when they were building the blocks, 6-story buildings they made, slum clearance board. And as I was watching, the slums were moved, people started moving into those places. And I stood there and watched one day, one fellow pushing his buffalo up to 6th floor. I watched the whole time when, the 2 or 3 people just pushed the buffalo. See, earlier when they were living on the ground floor, whatever slum, they were living in, they used to tie the buffalo next to each other, next to the house. So the moment a thief would come, the buffalo would say, wah, and they would just, the fellow carrying his cycle to the 6th floor also. So it is so unsocial, so anti-people, the kind of design that people do. Nobody would want to leave a cycle downstairs and live on the 6th floor. You won't be able to sleep thinking that tomorrow it will not be there. See some more flats. Look at this in China. Look at this. Maybe that's a solution for large numbers of people, but look at this spread. What kind of life would be here? India is not far behind. Look at this. I've seen some PWD kind of construction, just one after the other. It's like a mass-produced, factory-produced thing over kilometers. Now, see, there are a lot of young architects who've done very good housing and very good, social housing. But time is short, and so I have to just if you can't ignore these beautiful options, look just by the drawing itself, you can make out that the person, the designer is, is concerned with people. This is one of my favorite drawings. Oh, the top portion is cut out. Huh? That fellow is flying a kite. I love making drawings like this. I used to do drawings of this type, I used to love doing it. Beautiful. See, again, it looks so human. It looks so, the horse, the cart, the kite flying, shops, beautiful. Like, I don't have time to go into details. Another very famous project. Okay, now how far are we with time? I think we're running short of time. I got lots to tell you. I'll just tell you this briefly. You have shown me the problems that are the solutions, and the solutions that are the problems. John F.C. Turner is one of my heroes. He is an architect, British architect. He worked in Peru and Brazil and Latin America. And one thing very simple, he saw, like I told you about the slum clearance in Madras, where they just made 6-story buildings and people were taking the buffaloes upstairs. Same way, he realized that all these slum clearance boards, they were all, thoughtless towards people's requirements. What he did was very simple. He went to a. This is a very nice example. I love telling. You must listen to this. He went to a slum, and where in these slums, every kind of an expertise was available. The same poor people were in the daytime are constructing marble layers, flooring, electricians, plumbers. They were making palaces and they were making all kinds of things, but living in slums. That's all they could afford. So he realized that every skill is available in that. So he told his guys, do you want to do something yourselves? They said, yeah, why not? So he went to the housing boards, got bricks and cement and sand and steel and all building constructions, and he dumped them at a subsidized price. Now, whoever was a mason helped out, little by little, they removed one by one rooms, those shanties, and they started building simple houses. And now the question was, when he told this person, it will cost you, let's say, 1,000 pesos to build a roof. Otherwise, you just take a plastic sheet. They said, I'll take a plastic sheet. Can you imagine? Now, if you give a house to a person and you give a plastic sheet, there's no way they'll accept it. In fact, a proper concrete roof, they'll be looking at flaws. They said your door will cost you 500 pesos. So would you want to have a tarpaulin or a jute bag hanging? They say, yeah, jute bag is good enough for us. A tin sheet, yeah, fine, that's okay. Anything, a plastic sheet was good enough for them. See, when you are doing it yourself, you will never complain. If somebody gives you something far better, you will always find flaws. These people, in 1/10 or 1/20th of what they would have spent, they managed to move into a decent house, which had a bulb, it had a, maybe a toilet, it had a decent place. But they didn't have a roof, it's okay. They were okay with a tarpaulin and a plastic sheet. They said, when we get money, we'll put up a steel sheet on top. Dweller control of the housing process. It is my increasing impression, more a hope perhaps, that interest in nature and community. Again, he talked about community-based principles and practices growing from a small but ancient base. In fact, I'm sure it is the only realistic hope for a real civilization. Now, the only reason why I don't understand why this has not been replicated all over the world. At 1/20th the cost, if you can make people happier, then by spending 20 times the cost and giving them rooms which they're not happy with, and you see after maintenance, after 6 months, 1 year, nobody maintains it. It's horrible. Here they will maintain it because they are the ones who have every penny, every rupee that they spent inside is their choice. I don't need locks to my doors. There's so many things I don't need. Why should I waste it? Another favorite building of mine. There is no time. I must rush. John Hancock Tower, Chicago, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, one of the largest companies ever, architectural companies. And I've given you this photograph, which shows this building. I love this XX bracing. And Fazlur Rahman, the Pakistani structural engineer, designed this beautiful building, great building, excellent building. Now, this building has got everything that you can think of. It's a complete community. It has got residences, of course. It's got offices. It's got schools. It's got supermarkets. It's got vegetable shops. It's got clubs. It's got swimming pool. You name it. The people have not moved out of this building for months. everything that, this is before your Amazon and Swiggy and all that, huh? They would go themselves and get everything done here. It's amazing. I remember, National Geographic 1989 November, I think, I don't remember. 1989, definitely. I've kept it and I can't find it now. I want to take some photographs from that. I couldn't. So I had to make some sketches. I'll show you later. People discussing, from the top, how's the weather? And the lady below says, it's fine. She says, no, it's raining upstairs. At the top level, it's raining. At the lower level, because of the heat of New York City, Chicago, it would just evaporate. There's no rain below. And like sketches of photographs of children playing. Where will they go and play? There are some places, but otherwise in the corridors they're playing with what? Luggage carts. You have these carts which carry luggage. They're on top of that and pushing each other and all that. The whole societal thing changed. Absolutely, way of living. See, this is what when you say this is my home, this is what you draw, right? You ask a child, draw your house. They'll draw a house, one door, two windows, both sides, one tree, two flowers, some birds. They ask children from this building to make a sketch of my home. This is what they made. By the way, this is all, I just made it yesterday because I could not find my issue of National Geographic. I made these two sketches myself and I wrote I'm a left-handed writer. I wrote with my right hand, my home, to make it look as if it's a child writing. I'm trying to fool you, okay? Fraud, total fraud. I'm trying to fool you. This was totally unconnected, but this is a photograph I loved. The same building, John Hancock Tower. This person was just changing a light bulb. Do you have the courage to do such a thing? God, I'll just get a heart attack just looking at this. Okay. Oh, there's so much to talk about. I can talk about these people and buildings, Robert Gutman, for about 2 days. If you can get a chance to read this book, it's amazing. Robert Gutman was fantastic. He used to edit, he had a collection of lot of short essays. And this particular book had a collection of amazing essays, how you design, how architects design, the design of a residential block. And what was the way, the criteria for design of the building? The kitchens should all face the courtyard where, a huge park where all children are playing, so that the mothers are safe, feel relaxed. Just look at the criteria. Beautiful, no? So all the kitchens with the large windows are facing, the central park where all the children are playing, and while they're cooking, they can see the children. Amazing, really amazing. Those are the criteria, for design of the residences. Have a small tuck shop, tuck shop like coffee shop and, snacks and all that. Visible from all the windows. Why? Because youngsters want to collect there and they want to be seen and they want to see, So that kind of a criteria, for design. I would never have thought of these, this totally different way of thinking. Like that, there's so many small essays, beautiful ones. Okay, this is an interesting one, more for the faculty here. Uttar Pradesh Technical University introduced the sociology as a subject for B.Arch first semester. And the syllabus had relationship between sociology and architecture, basic concepts of societal group, community, urban, rural, cultural identity, diversity and change, process of socialization, demography, population growth, population subsistence and migration. And then discussion like marriage, family, religion, those kind of things. Hey, this is my ultimate photograph. I feel that, if you provide architecture with leaks, this building is leaking and this poor guy has got an umbrella, he's sleeping with an umbrella. Just look at the expression on the faces. This farmer with his wife, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 children sleeping, and their legs are out of the bed. The bed is also resting on bricks and it is bending. And you have the dog sleeping on top of that and the chicken there. This is the ultimate in, like happiness and 2 birds on the windowsill. What more do you want in life here? Wouldn't you be happier like this than living in a palace and going to 5-star hotels and all that? If you can do with lesser, you make people happy with your architecture. You've done your job. Okay? See you guys. That's it. I try to make it within the time. I'm still a bit out of time. Sorry, guys. Sorry for organizers. I think I spent a little bit more time than you gave me.
Thank you, sir, for devoting your precious time and sharing your expertise. I think we'll go ahead and some questions. The participants can make use of the chat box to ask their questions. Before that, I would request all the participants to fill in the feedback form that has been posted in the chat box.
Hi, Professor Asok. How are you?
Wonderful to listen to you, sir, today. Yeah.
You know, I believe that they have enough of lectures, right, in college. So giving a boring lecture with, you know, with facts. Instead of that, just a few random, you know, images that I find, you know, that we can learn from. I thought that is more important.
Yes, yes.
Anything in the chat box come in yet? No, no?
No, sir.
Any questions? Anybody wants to discuss anything, ask anything?
Okay, sir, there is one question from one of the moderators. Okay, so you have explained how much the word safety is important while designing. So when a client comes to you and tells you to design for example, a shopping mall in a very congested, crowded place, how will you convince the client who's adamant in building a mall there? And is there any particular design or an idea which you would suggest to the client to build a mall at a proper space, ventilation safety, with proper space, ventilation and safety?
See, every plot has a particular potential. Depending on the FAR and the regulations, there's the maximum that you can build. I have tried at every project of mine to build the maximum so the client gets satisfied. The client should never say that you've underbuilt. You have to do it. See, even in a school, college projects, when people build lesser than required, I say, no, take a smaller site. Why would you take a 2-acre site and not or 3-acre site and not do what is allowed? You have to, as a rule, you have to try to reach the maximum allowed. That is the practical, you know, way of looking at things. Now, if client says in a congested site, I want a mall, well, I'll give him a mall. Who am I to lecture to the client and tell him that this is not right or this is not right, don't do this, don't do that? No, no, no. I will give him exactly what he wants. If he's asked him for a mall in a crowded area, I'll give him that. Why? Why should I not give him that? You tell me. Whoever's asked this question, see, there's a supply and demand. If this, I'm nothing wrong in what I'm saying, but the practical side of it is that if you say no, he'll go to some other architect, right? Who will give him what he wants anyway. So, but I'm not saying that is I'm doing it for the sake of doing it. I feel I still believe in that. That if the mall has to come in a crowded place, I mean, malls do come in crowded places, right? Unless you have those, you know, multi-acre huge complexes. I worked on the Ream Mall in Abu Dhabi, second largest mall in the world. It was at that time. We had 12 plus 3, 15 floors of parking. We had 12,000 cars, 3 Hyatt hotels, 4 tower blocks, 40 floors high for residential. It was massive. I worked 3 years on this until the tender stage. It was a huge plot. And yeah, I mean, we had the garden going up to the 6th floor. You know, it was just sloping up and becoming part of the building. At every floor you had entrances, every floor you had restaurants. It was an amazing kind of a design. So that happens, yes. But then when in cities, when you have tight spaces, you have no choice.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I'll ask one question from.
Please do. Please
Chennai,
go ahead.
Chennai to Mumbai, and as a sociological question, how it's Ar.Ranbir Mudhaliar? Please explain that.
Okay. Ranbir is the Punjabi name. It sounds like, you know, like Ranbir Singh and all that. And my mother was Punjabi and UP partly, but
Okay.
the name is given by my aunt Ar.Ranbir. It's a Bengali name.
Acha. Okay.
Yeah, and Mudaliar is my father's name, who was supposed to be a Mudaliar. He never went to South. He didn't.
Okay.
Born and brought up in Bombay. So the thing is, he was working for Tatas, you know, so we were always traveling around. in my childhood, South America, West Indies, all various places. And when we came back to India, it was Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Madras. And by chance, I happened to settle in Madras, where the Mudaliars come from, South. I could have settled anywhere. It could have been Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, anywhere I could have settled. And after that, after I finished my architecture, because in Madras, I finished my architecture from Madras. School was Padma Seshadri. After that, Loyola College PUC, and then I did my architecture. There I worked for 10 years for an architect's office, beautiful office. I mean, I had a fantastic one. Really worked 24/7, slogged away, enjoyed it. Then I ran my own office for 10 years, and after that recession, no work, so we went abroad. And for 20 years we were abroad, and I had the 17th, 18th century, where people would say that I'm lucky to be working where Renaissance, where we are the famous Italian and French people, patrons of art and sciences and all that, they were there. So to be born in that age in Europe was great. To be born in maybe early 20th century in USA was great. To be me working in Gulf for those 20 years is great, because that's where was happening. Everything happened in the Gulf for those particular years. I was so lucky to be there. Some of the largest projects in the world. It's amazing. And I was working in one of the largest companies in the world. We had over 3,000 architects and engineers. Massive, So it was, that's why everything about it is mixed. My father was Hindu.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So my Tamil is a little bit rusty.
No, we have enough time. No, not a problem, sir.
Oh, okay. No,
I'm little puzzled to ask this question, because I'm also little sociologically connected to your name.
Oh, okay, okay. So I am not connected to anything, I'm more of a gypsy.
Okay.
In Mysore, my daughter came and joined this Aish, All India Institute of Speech and Hearing. I came here and I found this place lovely, and I said, okay, I wanted to come back to India, and I wanted to settle in a place which is not cold or hot, and do some farming and do some social work. So when I came over here, then somebody approached me and said, "Why don't you teach?" I said, "Teach? I never taught in my life. After 40 years of working in corporate offices, I've never taught in my life." I said, "Teaching? No way." But then I came and met these people, and I said, "Okay, fine." Now, last 4 years I've been here, and I'm enjoying teaching. It's great to be in touch with students, and
great, sir. Few questions have come in
from your college.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this thing, openly talking on that. Yeah, few questions have come in. Shiva, you can ask the questions. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. So how do you perceive open spaces in a neighborhood? Is it as a parking, leftover space, or sake of bylaws?
It is essential. Whether it is bylaw, whether it is leftover, whether it is for parking or whatever, it is essential to have open spaces. You cannot live in crowded areas. Some of the images that I showed you. You need to breathe. It's very important. But you have to make sure that it is not vandalized. You have to make sure that it's not hidden away somewhere where, nefarious activities happen. It has to be in full public view, and you have to maintain it well. Now, whether it is the government who does it or whether the neighborhood themselves get together and do it, it is essential that it is maintained well. Otherwise, there's no point giving an open space. I'd rather pave it up and use, have it non-open space, in the sense, non-green space. But it is very important. And for the sake of the bylaw, of course, you have to do it. You have to give, and never take it as leftover space. No, every space has to be designed. It's like your room, your house. Do you say that your one room is leftover space? No, everything, you have a room, space for everything. No, one is your living room, one is your dining room, one is a bedroom, a second bedroom, third bedroom, whatever. One is a store, one is a toilet. Every room has a space. You cannot say that I will start living from one side, there is leftover space. No, there's no leftover space. I don't believe in leftover spaces. You have to design each and every space. Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question, sir. What effort should schools do to bring people first approach to architecture?
People first approach to architecture. Well, Lucknow University has done that. They've added a subject called sociology in there. That's one of them. But it's just awareness. See, first of all, we ourselves as teachers, as professors, we have to be aware of, when I joined this college, my trustee told me, I would like you to mentor the staff more than students. You understand? It's like Jesus Christ had said, I will teach you how to fish. I won't give you fish every day. See, if you mentor the key people of your college, then they in turn will mentor the students. Now the awareness is required. If you just teach what you have learned, you have to be aware. You have to spend a few years in the field, in the market, to understand what is practical, what's happening around, and accordingly, then you have to have that from within you. These things are not taught. Most of these things are not taught. You have to get it. I've got some disturbance from outside. I'm sorry. I think it's all, you guys will all hear it. Awareness comes from within. You have to be aware of the fact that people are important, and people you have to design for people. It's not just the hard built form that is the the purpose of architecture. I hope I've answered your question. You want to ask any further questions? You can add to it.
Okay, so we have one more question. Okay, in India, many cities started developing the conceptual like township country. For example, LNG country in Gachibowli, Hyderabad provides almost everything, which makes almost no valid reason for the residents to leave the country. Do you think this is a good practice? Your views about it, sir?
Can you read it again?
Yeah, sure, sir. In India, many cities started developing the conceptual like township country. For example, LNG country in Hyderabad provides everything, which makes almost no valid reason for the residents to leave the country. Do you think this is a good practice, and your views about it, sir?
See, first of all, I don't know what this project is talking about. I'm assuming that it is a beautiful, kind of a residential, or I don't know, is it only residential, or is it a complete township? But it's just not the township that makes a person live or not want to live. I was a total patriot, a stupid idiot who never wanted to leave the country. I said, I want to be in India. All these people are going abroad, brain drain, this, that, I want to be in India, I want to be in India. I ran my own office for 10 years. What happened? What did life give me? Recession. I had no work. In my, that last 10th year that I was running my office, my total income, my wife and I, she's also an architect, both of us earned a total of 5,000 rupees. The fees that we got, 5,000 rupees in 1 year. So that 1 year, we just used up all our resources and all our savings. Now, even if I was living in this township in Hyderabad, how do I pay my rent? How do I pay my electricity fees? How do I pay my grocery bills? I had to leave. India was in recession. All the big offices took small jobs. All the medium offices took the tiny jobs. And people like me, the tiny offices had nothing left. All the food was taken from the table, and even the crumbs were removed. Even the bones were finished. Everything was gone. I had nothing left for me, people like us. I had no choice but to leave. I bought one newspaper, Employment Times Abroad, and there were 5 ads. I wrote to all 5 of them. Those days, email by courier or whatever. I sent all the 5, and they all responded. If we called up and had an interview on the phone, and that's it. All my philosophy and my nationalism and patriotism and all that went down the drain. I need survival. After 20 years of graduating, I was down to 0. I had nothing with me. 1 year, I consumed whatever I could. Whatever savings we had, we used up. And then we left. And of course, unfortunately, at that time, the recession was leaving and finishing, and I was getting more work, and I had to keep refusing because I decided to leave. So life takes you, you don't know where life will take you tomorrow. How I knew I would come to start teaching, I didn't know. I never thought of teaching all my life. So this neighborhood in Hyderabad, whatever, you may make it like a dream, like a heaven, but there's much more than that. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. This whole, my whole philosophy of this talk was that is not the physical aspect of it that is important. It is the other aspect of it. Whatever you may call it sociology, call it whatever you want. See, you may give a fantastic neighborhood. Everything is perfect. If I don't have the money for it, what do I do? Or if my wife and I fight, we are heading towards separation. Well, what for all this? If my 2 brothers and 3 brothers, we are fighting over property, what for is all this? So it all depends, on your mental frame, your happiness factor, and all these things are so important. And I would not say that just providing, yes, when you provide good international quality facilities, yes, people would be tempted to continue to stay there. Yes, if everything is hunky dory, if you got a good job, you got a good salary, you got good savings, yes, you would. A lot of people are leaving India because of quality of life. So if you do give a quality of life, physical life, yes, people will tend to stay back. I agree with you. Yes, but no guarantee. Yeah. What else?
Okay, sir. We have one more question. What is your opinion on gated community projects secluding the occupants from society?
Including the occupants.
Secluding the occupants from the society.
But gated communities secludes, you mean from other people, is it? From the people outside. Yeah, I guess that's what the meaning is. Well, you are segregating people from outside, but at the expense of, it's like saying, how can you live in a house and not allow people from outside to come inside your house? Same thing, no? On a larger scale. You make your own house, you lock your front door, you lock your gate. You don't want people walking in, right? It's your house. Same way, you live in a community and you're locking yourself from outsiders. There's nothing wrong in that. Absolutely fine. See, what happens is that you can control the quality of life, security, you can control a lot of things. I live in a place which is really beautiful. You can even Google this Sankalp Central Park in Mysore. It's so beautiful. We have a supermarket in the basement. We have a fruit shop, vegetable shop. We have BSNL office. We have 2 laundries and ladies, gents saloons. We have 3 swimming pools. We have a tennis courts. We have what do you call it? Gym, very well-equipped gym, conference rooms, library, table tennis, so many things we have here. It's great. I've never lived in a place like this. I've always felt that, like what the questioner says, that, it's you seclude yourself from others. I've always felt, yeah, it's a little bit snobbish to live in places like this. But having, being battered here and there, I've lived in different places and, neighbors screaming, all fighting this, that, all that kind of stuff. Now it's fine. Security is great. We leave the door open and sleep. We don't have any problems. Security is so good. Everything's so fine. And during the pandemic, they sealed off the whole place. They refused to let us leave the place. They refused to allow anybody to come from outside. Everything was provided here. So, there's a lot of advantages in having a gated community. And yes, I mean, it does become a little bit of the snobbishness factor is there, but still, I think it's quite well worth it.
Thank you, sir. One more question we have. How do you explain the fact that many buildings today do not satisfy their occupants in terms of comfort?
In terms of?
Comfort.
Buildings don't satisfy their occupants in terms of comfort. It's all a question of money. It's all a question of finances. See, I can I remember this brigade, and brigade has got some amazing, in Shobha also got some amazing kind of buildings. Up north in Delhi, starting at 5 crores and 6 crores starting. Beautiful places. Can't afford it. There's this Trump Tower, Donald Trump, this former American president, his son is building some tower in Delhi. I went and had a look at it. There is just ordinary 3-4 bedroom units starting at 5 crores, 12 crores, 14 crores. What for? So if you have the money, you can get any kind of comfort level that you want. It's all a question of finances. I mean, the guy who can't afford it sleeping on the footpath. That's the ultimate other end of it. Then there's the Juggi Jhopdi. You have a slum. Then you have EWS units, LIG units, MIG, HIG. It goes higher and higher and higher. It all is related to finances. It's all related to how much you have. So I would not say that like facilities are not given for comfort. Yes, I mean overall, since population is a major problem of India. So earlier we used to have larger rooms because of sheer economics. We've been getting smaller and smaller rooms over times. Our standard unit sizes are getting smaller and smaller and tighter. Yes, that is true. So therefore, the density is increasing more and more number of people are living in less square footage. Yes, that is true. To that extent, I would say. Otherwise, I think it's all a question of how much money you have and how much you can afford.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. One more question we have. Different geography, different spaces in terms of small space. How do you fill the gap to unite with the universe?
What? Is this a philosophy class? Okay, can you read it? Can you read it again?
Sir, sure, sir.
Slowly, word for word.
Different geography, different spaces in terms of small space. How do you fill the gap to unite with the universe?
I'll have to get some spiritual person here to answer this question. To unite with the universe. Hey, look, I'm not very religious. I may be spiritual. I'm not very religious. Unite with the universe. I'll tell you one thing. I'm so much into practical things, that all the theoretical things, I just go over my head. Honestly, I don't claim to be any expert on all these kind of things. Okay, let me try to answer it. Read it again, please. I'm sorry. Read it again.
Yeah, sure, sir. Just a minute, sir. Different geography, different spaces in terms of small space. How do you fill the gap to unite with the universe?
I don't fill any gap to unite with the universe. No, I don't. I believe that, see, we all will die one day, right? What are we fighting? What are we fighting for? What are we getting so tense about? What do we make such a big issue of so many things? See, each of us, if we decide that today is the last day, don't you think we'll all behave differently?
Yes.
If I have fought with my father and if I've called him some, like you're useless, you're not giving me money, that, if I am told that today is my last day, or my father's last day today, what do you think will happen to me? I will drop everything and I will go home, right? So if we all imagine that today, tomorrow we'll be merging with the universe, as the questioner is there, we will behave differently, and that's how we should go. And these petty things that take up so much of our time, and even in architecture, it's so much of ego involved. I remember this child, who is the designer chief designer of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, at one time the world's largest company. He made a very profound statement. He said, 65 to 70 floors of a building, we can justify everything. After that, when you look at the efficiency of the core, you look at the amount of floor plate versus the size of the core, basic core, it gets inefficient. The services, the structures, the supporting of the building, from toppling, it is just ego after that. After 65 to 70 floors, it is ego that drives these buildings high. You look at Burj Khalifa, you look at the plans, at above 60, 70 floors. It is pointless, absolutely pointless. I mean, the area of the core is equal to the area of the office space around. Come on. It's just like, you take, you need, atta and all that, to make chapatis and all that. And then you take it and pull it, keep pulling it. That's what they've done to it, just for the ego to get the highest building. There's no usable space above that level. And look at the cost. See, that many lifts, and the lifts don't start from somewhere, they start off from the ground, no? So the core gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the services, the shafts that need to go, the pipes, the electricals, all the services, garbage, everything needs to be added. Your electrical room, mechanical room, so many more. And it's not efficient. So the ego is the thing that drives a lot of people into, doing things that they should not do, and not to merge with the universe. Okay. So I don't know. Would you like to rephrase your question if I have not answered it, or if I have answered it, it's okay. To the best of my ability.
Okay. Thank you, sir. As we are running out of time, the other questions will be sent to the speaker, and the answer for the same will be posted in our social media platform. I extend my sincere gratitude to architect R.Ranbir Mudhaliar, sir, for answering these questions and accepting our invitation to be a part of #2021. Thank you so much, sir. Now I invite our HOD Professor Asok Kumar, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks. So,
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great hearing from you. Good morning, one and all present here on behalf of SEAD, School of Environment, Architecture and Design, Ramapuram, SRM Ramapuram campus. My sincere thanks to one and all attending this webinar, hashtag 2021, this marathon of lecture series, webinars, events, workshops, other on-the-spot events as well, all conducted by our students for this year. Sir, it's great hearing you on this topic, sociology and architecture. Architect Ar.Ranbir Mudhaliar, sir, our sincere thanks to you for your gesture, sharing your gain knowledge, expertise, and of course your experiences in the sociology and architecture. And as you are explaining its importance and the social gatherings, the walks of life, making our places interesting, space making, place making, and the day-to-day experiences, how we want or how our thoughts to be and how we have to take these things into our future, how our younger generation to think about it. Of course, sir, you widen the perspective or the vision of our younger minds, how to think about this as architecture, as and the sociology. No, it has been like a DNA double helical structure. We have it's always the architecture is always bordered with the sociology. Sir, really, it's a wonderful hearing you today. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of SRM Ramapuram Management, Chairperson, Chairpersons, our Chief Directors, Deans, for giving us the support and encouragement conducting this virtual webinar series, hashtag 2021. This is our special event. Every year we'll conduct this as a marathon of events. As you hope you, as the previous years, people will appreciating our hashtag. Yes. Our special thanks to this year, the sponsor, Madan Makeover, for their contribution and giving us the prizes to our winning students and participants. Thank you very much. And we thank our student coordinators, especially today's moderator, Sheba Sunny. She's a BIAC student for coordinating this event, the Q&A sessions, and our faculty coordinators and faculty members and the student team, the technical team, the graphics team, and all of them who are directly involved, directly and indirectly involved and supporting this webinar series. Thank you very much, one and all. And of course, our participants, our architects, friends, parents, and fellow students. Thank you very much, one and all, participating in today's event, hearing our architect Ar.M.Dileeban Mudhaliar, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nandri Vanakkam.
Thank you, sir. I thank all the participants who have joined today. Also, we invite you all for the next webinar on July 10th, which is at 9 a.m. The topic for the webinar is Towards a Philosophy for the Architecture of India, and it will be delivered by Dr. Ganapati Mahalingam, sir. We welcome you all and we expect to see you there for tomorrow's session also. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you, sir.
Just one sentence I want to the faculty who is listening today, that students will learn architecture on their own. Once they graduate and they join offices, they will learn. But one thing we have to teach them is sanskars, and we teach them into being good people, honest people, sincere, hardworking. And if it doesn't matter which office, where they work, what they do, whether the Hyderabad, this colony, or they go abroad or wherever, they will do well. They will do very well, and they'll be happier in life. That's the message I want to give to everybody. And students also, please participate. Please respond to teachers. Yeah, Shiba, you will tell all your classmates to be interactive. Yeah, and not to hold yourselves back. Go ahead. This is a time for you to experiment and for you to innovate. And because afterwards clients are going to tie you into pieces and force you to do what they want. So this is the time where you need to experiment and do things what you want to use your fertile imagination. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. It's a really definitely very good advice, and of course our students are definitely take it, and they are already doing it.
Good, very good, excellent, excellent. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir.